The best part about a podcast, I think if you really think about why you're doing it or what it sounds like, the best example, one of our biggest listeners said,
welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I am your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for all of the follows on social media. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for the ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts as well. That really means a lot to me. And, of course, for all the coffees that you folks have bought me to keep me going. I'm really excited about our guest today. He is a podcaster. He is an entrepreneur. And he's quickly becoming a fast friend of mine. This is Chris Nabholz.
What's up, y'all? How you doing, Big Rob? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I will say family man. And the face, too. I appreciate that.
You do. My mom tells me that. You did. Chris Nabholz.
Did I say your name right, first of all?
I've heard it all.
I've heard I know I've said it a couple times.
I won't even repeat what I've heard.
I'm sure.
I won't even repeat what I've heard. Actually, fun fact, the kids at school call me Coach N. I don't even tell them my last name.
Wow.
I don't even give those guys or girls a chance.
Yeah.
Just mess it up.
That's great. And then it's like, what are you doing? Coaching.
Absolutely.
Coaching.
Thanks for doing it. Thanks for having me on.
You're coaching. You are a podcaster, an entrepreneur, teacher on the side,
Exactly.
family man,
Nice.
bourbon connoisseur. You have a passion for this town. As one of the co-hosts of Drop the Dis podcast here.
I do.
I think that's where I was first exposed to you before I even met you, knew who you were. Heard your podcast and the great stuff that you were doing for the city of Augusta in trying to scrub away a not so glorious nickname, really, that folks want to associate with this town.
Yeah. For those of you at home, it's Disgusta that we're. Love that. Actually, the arts and bands are my favorite.
Dropping the Dis off of Augusta.
Business people.
And that's you and your show partner, David.
David Bash. He's the co-host of Drop the Dis podcast.
So did you guys just meet over a beer in random for this idea?
So it's funny that you asked that. You mentioned me as an entrepreneur. When I was in college, my junior year of college, a buddy of mine started a wedding DJ company called Amplified Events, which is still around. Really cool to see that around. And one of the events, we were DJing a fraternity party, and it was a social. But it became a party. And David had said a speech at the beginning. He was serving as a chair with something, and he was a freshman. And I looked over to my buddy Patrick and I said, we need to get to know that guy. He's got it going on. And 2 years later, we hired him as a DJ, and he and I DJ'd weddings together, known as the A-Team. We were the fun, get down, ready to have fun kind of DJ duo, and it sparked a relationship through that. I actually left Amplified Events because I started teaching, and I would love my weekends. Anybody that wants to do wedding DJ, your weekends are gone.
Yeah. Well, that's usually when people get married. No one's pulling out that Tuesday afternoon wedding.
No, they're not giving you any deals for Tuesdays. Yeah. But I stepped down and I asked David to take my spot. I trusted him to handle business, and he did it better than I did. And through that, we stayed in touch. We would get together at Stillwater on Tuesday nights for pint night. Nice. Because I was on a budget, and you could not say no to those pint nights. R.I.P. Right. They're gone. But still love Stillwater. David and I would get together and just talk business. And all of our conversations always went to Augusta's a great place. Why isn't anybody talking about what's going on? Yeah. And one night we looked up, there's podcasts. Let's see if there's a podcast about Augusta. Nothing. Right. The next day I called David. I said, let's start a podcast about Augusta. What's going on? And the rest is history. So yes, David and I have been in touch for the past 5-6 years. The long answer is what I just said.
Yeah. So, long answer is what. Yeah. So, Drop the Dis has been going on for
About almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
About how many episodes have you got?
We have over 275.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you drop an episode a week?
Every week, yes. We're recording every Monday or Tuesday, releasing them every Sunday.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's a lot of people. Every episode has been interviewing a guest, someone that's doing something cool in the city in their own way.
Right.
And how that can put Augusta on the map in a different way. You know, Augusta is known for the Augusta National, but or Masters Week, those of you that aren't from Augusta. And Augusta is a lot cooler than that.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than just 1 week out of the year.
For sure. I had the honor of coming on and being a guest on.
Yes, you did.
On
yes.
Drop the Disc, myself and Chris Bailey from Le Chat Noir talking about the film festival,
right?
Black Cat Picture Show. So thank you for having us on.
Well, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah.
I will say that it is such a cool thing. Not only are we telling Augusta's story, but I'm able to meet so many incredible people, you yourself being one of them. And Chris Bailey, shout out. You're awesome. And, you know, I love it. I wish that I could get paid full time for this.
Yeah.
And maybe someday, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, podcasting is where it's at, people.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's one of those mediums that if you have a story to tell, and your story doesn't have to be something, you know, life-changing, world-shaking, you know, whatever. Sometimes you just, that's what, you know, people, that's how histories were passed down, is through storytelling, through talking, through conversation. Right. And it's so simple now for anyone to actually start a podcast. I mean, you could start one from your phone if you wanted to.
Actually, that is how Drop the Disc started. We started on our iPhone 7.
Really?
In David's kitchen next to a very loud refrigerator. And you will not find those episodes anywhere.
Oh, man, I was about to say, I need to go find episode 1.
Well, we are about to release a Patreon with our Vault episodes.
Okay.
There's about 10 episodes that have really cool content, but you can barely hear it.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody's going to pay for that, but you never know. You never know. Yeah.
And, I mean, depending on who the guests are, if it has something to do with what somebody else might be interested in, that's a great option. I mean, that's one of the things, myself is doing this is, I mean, I'm talking to friends and just have, again, to reconnect me with the radio days kind of stuff. But people have stories that you wouldn't really know. And I've been surprised time and time again, just talking to people who I've may have known for years and years and years, just aspects of their life that had no clue about. And it's such a cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, that and the story of how Drop the Disc became, I mean, we've been around for almost 2 years, but so much has happened. A lot of growth has happened, a lot of maturity, a lot of learning on how things are done, the best way to do it, the people you meet, how you interact with them. You know, it's, you know, we didn't always have a studio.
Right.
We started with our iPhone and we would take it to other people's businesses and put a little filter over the iPhone and interview them. And then we moved up to a USB mic once we started saving up some money and continued going to businesses. But I'm going to shout out Ubora real quick. Love them to death. Not a place to record an episode.
They're a coffee roastery, in case you did not know. So I assume it's probably a little noisy.
It is industrial air conditioners that are picked up on that Yeti mic that we recorded them 3 times and decided, you know what? We need to figure this out because other people might have the same situation and we can still shout out their businesses without being in their business.
Right. Because it's an oral media. It's not visual. Yeah. It's not like, you know, you want to see the commercial and see where the beans are being roasted and how the cortada is being pulled and things like that. You just need to be able to hear the passion of the story and of the place.
And of course, you do want to have some of those pictures of the business for social media.
Correct.
But, you know, that's just part of marketing your podcast.
Absolutely. That is so cool. You talk about the growth. I would assume one of the biggest things, other than getting better microphones, would be the kind of partnership, the new brainchild that you've birthed, about a month ago or so? Yeah.
So actually, fun fact, what you're talking about is Augusta Podcasts.
Augusta Podcasts.
And
LLC.
that has a funny story in itself. So we were originally Drop Disgusta. That was our original name. And there was there was another company that said, could you please change that name? Because we have a brand with that already. And so because we wanted to work with the community and we were so new, not a lot, we had maybe 8 listeners, and they were the ones that were pushing through the sound, you know? And so we were like, okay, we'll change the name. No, sorry. It was first Don't Disgusta.
Okay.
And we changed it to, okay, let's do Drop Disgusta. And then we were walking around and someone said, oh, that's Drop the Dis, because our hashtag was Drop the Dis. And so all of a sudden David was like, let's just call ourselves Drop the Dis. And then when we put it on all of our platforms, we'll just put Augusta in parentheses. And we, at this point, we had a sponsor, Nancy Powell, and we needed to start putting money somewhere. And we opened up an account and we thought, what if we change our name again? We don't want to go through all the paperwork again. So we just said, let's just create an LLC called Augusta Podcasts. It will never change. We can always do a DBA as or do business as our podcast name. And Augusta Podcasts has technically been around for 1.5 years.
Okay.
That being said, David said a joke when we realized the name. He said, what if we create a podcast company that produces podcasts someday? I was like, okay. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
As the guys recording on their iPhone.
Like, exactly. I'm like, bro, we don't know how to work Audacity. You know, It's like we were using the free softwares at the time and just so minuscule. And we stuck with it. Maybe 2 months later, we got a studio. And the community's been great to us. You know, there's been a lot of overwhelming love for what we're doing. Everybody wants to be on the show or want to have us on their show. Thank you, Rob. I'm just kidding. That was a side plug. But the ethos of our company started really growing to the point where people started reaching out to us saying, can we get some tips? Can we, how can we start a podcast? And so then we started growing our business that way, getting our clients, getting people or contacts, and now we are here today. A month and a half ago, we created a very strong partnership, a legal partnership, Rob, with tons of paperwork, legal fees, everything with Allison South Marketing Group. And that has now made everything real. And so now we are a legit business, Augusta Podcasts. And I wish I could have laughed at, I can't laugh at the old Chris because it's legit.
Right.
I just got back from a WJBF interview about Augusta Podcasts, and it's really surreal for me. Yeah. It's still a pinch me moment. And, so yeah, that's what's going on. That's the long story. The short answer is yes. Yeah. There is a podcast company now in Augusta.
And so you are helping, as you already were helping with Drop the Disc to kind of promote and support things local of the Augusta area, the CSRA, whether it be arts, musicians, any of the stuff, businesses, anything around here. But now you have this tool where you can say, hey, those folks that come in and they're like, man, this was fun. I wish I could do this for my real estate company, or I could do this for my band, or I could do. And you say, well, we actually have a facility. We can walk you through that process if it is something that you want to actually pursue.
Right. And it's very interesting because the mission of Drop the Disc was to put Augusta on the map in different ways. The mission of Augusta Podcast breathes that, because now we are working towards being a podcast hub of the city, especially with cyber coming in. We can get in that little content and that subject matter for being cyber in a way. Yeah. It's such a very broad umbrella, but excuse me. But so yeah, we are helping people get to Z. Yeah. Wherever they are, if they're at the very beginning of their process, or a lot of our clients are now coming in like, hey, I started a podcast 2 years ago. I couldn't keep up with it.
Right.
Help me.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is saving people time. You know, we've learned now people can literally just sit in front of a mic, record, leave, and we'll do the rest. 48-hour turnaround.
Wow.
And distribute everything. If there's a marketing plan, and with Allison South, there's logo design, there's web development, there's biz dev, there's all this. We also specialize in sponsoring.
Right.
So we help people monetize.
Wow.
Which would not be able to do that without the pull we have with and the contacts we've made through Drop the Disc. But it all has been a full circle process, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, for your perspective, being able to, like you said, sit there and look back at old Chris that laughed at the idea, and Chris and Bash sitting around just talking business at Stillwater, to having an iPhone next to a refrigerator, to now being a beacon to other folks with stories to tell.
Right.
And being able to say, yeah, come on, let's help you out. Let's help you out.
I would never have thought that in 1,000 years. I'm just an elementary PE teacher.
Right.
You know, that's what I do by the day.
Yeah.
You know, at night I'm making people's dreams come true, or I'm facilitating that aspect that they would like to do on the side as well.
Yeah.
And I can speak towards that. That's something that I've experienced, and I still am experiencing with Drop the Disc.
Exactly. Yeah. You've kind of been able to take those walls out of the way for folks. You know, it's,
exactly.
You know, for me, like starting this podcast, not started by Augusta Podcasts.
No.
I had the idea, again, being a radio guy, I had the knowledge of all of the technical equipment and formatting and the way that I wanted the show to sound. My wall was nothing physical. It was all mental. There was a block. There was something about starting it, because, and I've said this before, is like being somebody else's product on someone else's, radio station is different than cracking the mic and everything is now on me.
Right.
I am it from A to Z.
Right.
I am all of it. So there was something about that in, a fear of failure, failure to start. Am I going to look ridiculous? And it took me about a year to get over that,
right? To
get out of my own way, to be able to say, I'm going to hit the big red button, and whatever happens, happens.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that you are there to kind of help somebody, hold their hand and help them hit that big red button.
Absolutely.
And provide that knowledge outside of, their mental walls, but it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't have the knowledge of the equipment and this, that, and the other. We've got that. We just want you to sit down and tell your story.
Right. I think the biggest fear, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest fear that I see and that I had was no one's going to listen, or we're at an age in our life where we have to see growth. We have to, and with podcasts, you can get that data. You can see who's listening, who's downloading, where they're listening. You can see all that. And when that number doesn't budge from 8 people, you want to quit.
Right.
And we were there for 6 months. The quality of our show was bad. The tangents were unstoppable. I mean, we had to grow as a producer. I mean, as a host. But if you go back to Joe Rogan's first episode, it was all over the place. Any show was all over the place, and it forms as you go. And if we can teach those people, like, look, you get 8 listeners consistently, that's 8 people that are listening. And those people, invested. They're invested. They're going to become raging fans, and they're going to tell their friends about it.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest fear could be with a lot of clients that we're seeing is who's going to listen to this? Mm-hmm. Well, we've learned how to pinpoint that, and we ask them, who's your niche audience?
Right.
Who are the specific people? Mm-hmm. And when you figure out that specific audience, then you can move forward and understand that's a big number in this world. Podcast is to the world, correct. Not just your state, not just your city.
Exactly.
It is accessible anywhere. And once it's on Apple, once it's on Spotify, it's searchable.
Yeah. and it's there forever.
Exactly.
It's as a friend of mine says, it's a soldier that's working for you constantly,
right?
Because it's out there, and somebody may find one episode and then go down the rabbit hole and listen to all of your episodes.
Exactly.
Me personally, it wasn't that, I was worried about who's going to listen. Again, it was just getting out of my own way and in fear of what the product would be, because there was a bit of a perfectionist as being a professional of what.
That's your background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that took a lot. And for me to just say, you know what? And it took a friend of mine to kind of kick me in the tail and say, you know what, just do it. Nobody listens. And I've, not looked back since that first trailer.
Yeah.
And kind of just, and that was a one take, just, I'm going to hit it and we'll see what happens.
Right.
I'm going to put it together and we'll see what happens. Because now I look forward to this. I get excited when I talk to folks and say, hey, would you like to be on? And I get that, calendar invite put on there, and it's like, yeah, cool, this is the time. And that really excites me.
It is exciting. I know exactly what you're talking about. The best part about a podcast, I think, if you really think about why you're doing it or what it sounds like, the best example, one of our biggest listeners said, I like your show because it's like I'm at a bar and I'm overhearing a really cool story.
Yeah.
And that is right there. It's unscripted. It's a pure conversation. What you and I are talking about right now, we did not go over notes. You said maybe 2 questions you would ask me.
Yeah.
Moved on. And you haven't asked me those questions yet. Yeah. So that's why you're literally recording a conversation that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, though, having in you now as a podcast producer may have some different thoughts on this, but I do think that having a little bit of structure and a little idea of the direction you're going to go in makes you feel more confident as you are recording, because if it is I'm going to drink a beer and I'm going to hit record and we're just going to talk about whatever, that could end up being a 3-hour just train wreck. And it's like, oh, there was like 20 minutes that was funny.
Right.
Or, 10 minutes that was really informative. And no one wants to have to wade through 3 hours to get that. And how consistently can you do that?
Right. And I would flip it on the other side. As the listener, someone's investing in your show. And so someone is investing 45 to an hour. Maybe if you're a Joe Rogan fan,
4 hours.
4 hours. But you know what you're expecting something. You're expecting that consistency. On Drop the Disc, we've got 2 parts. The first part, we dive deep into your story. Second part, we talk about what you're doing in the city. And then the last part, 3 parts. The last part.
You're not a math teacher, right?
No, I'm not. No, okay, I just counted 10. But the last part is that one question we ask everybody. If someone was walking up to you and talked negatively about the city of Augusta or the greater Augusta area, what would your response be to them if they were talking negatively? And those 3 sections are what people expect and know what they're going to hear.
Right.
And so just to piggyback on what you were saying is, it's good to have format for yourself. It's good to have format to gain more listeners or just to make your fans happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yes, absolutely. You need to have a format. Don't just press play. But
right.
But yeah.
But that's all in the simplest bit of terms. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Hit that voice memo on your phone. Start your
and that's how we started.
And move from there. Figure out when you start getting that feedback, when you start hearing people who are putting reviews on, Apple Podcasts or whatever.
Right.
Listen to what they're saying, what they like, what they don't like. That's all part of it. So we talked a lot about your entrepreneurial and your podcasting background. You're also a fan of some adult beverages, and you took part in I don't know. I don't want to say it's a program, but a group gathering. Augusta Neat. For a while here, and I had the opportunity to come enjoy being introduced to some scotches and some bourbons and some things like that I wouldn't normally have been able to do. Where did that passion come from?
So, truth be told, if you did go, because I know you did, but if anybody out there did go to an Augusta Neat event, I was more of the MC. I knew minimum. I knew minimal information about whiskey. But I will say that this all started because I was at a buddy's house and I had always wanted to drink or enjoy a dram.
Okay.
I always wanted to, but I never wanted to pick a $50 bottle out and then maybe not like it.
Gotcha.
And so I had a buddy that said, hey, try all this. And his name's Blaine Richoux. He's also a founder of Augusta Neat. And we started enjoying it. We started making it a thing where I would try new things and learn how to enjoy it, pick out different notes. And I said, other people probably feel the same way as I do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk into Beverage Outlet and look at all the whiskeys and try to figure out which one I want to take home, spending some of my paycheck. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. And we did one event. It was free. It was, I don't know how it was allowed, but literally it was free event, invite only. The only way to walk in the door is if you had a bottle to share.
Oh, wow.
That's how it started. So we were at the Space downtown.
Okay.
It was something else though at the time.
Yeah, it was kind of the common working space.
Yeah, it was a common working space. Yeah. And yes, and we hosted there. We had about 75 people show up.
Wow.
75 bottles. And we all got to try different things. It was all free because people brought it. And then there was a little educational piece at the end. And there was a raffle to support the organization, and the raffle winner would take home a bottle of the month, unopened, and it was all the rave. But we were fortunate enough to run across Zach McCabe with All Equal Parts, and he is a Wikipedia when it comes to all alcohol, all liquor. Yeah, he knows every detail about it. And we asked him to be a part of the group and turned it into, thanks to the Chris Bailey, Le Chat Noir. He said, yeah, let's do something in the theater. And so we sold 40 tickets. And I will say that we had to do that. We had to pivot because of COVID-19. We could only have a certain amount of people. So we did a ticketed event and hosted a Augusta Neat event once a month, and we chose a different spirit in the whiskey demographic. And it was such a cool experience. I mean, for me, it was bringing something to Augusta that was never done before. Yeah. And for Blaine and for Zach, it was education. Yeah. And they really just put a nail on the coffin. I mean, they just literally did a good job. And if you did go, I just stood there and held the mic and had fun. But
I think there's something exciting about that too, as an MC, because I think I went to the Scotch one where we were doing
that was my favorite one.
It was great. It was great because I had this misconception of like Cutty Sark and Scotch and just smoky, gross, nasty.
Me too.
800-year-old women with cigarettes. That's who drank Scotch. But to see you get excited about what was going on stage as well. I mean, yes, you're an MC, but you're learning along with everybody else.
Exactly.
And I think there's some charm in that. There's some reassurance in that, so that you are sitting there and you've got all these pipettes and crackers and little things of these different things with just numbers on them, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? And you're along the journey with us, which puts people at ease.
And that's what I wanted to do. I was the guy just like y'all. And I'm learning something. And yes, Scotch is not all smoky. Actually, there's one island in Scotland that only produces smoky Scotch, and that's Islay or Islay, for those of you that don't know how to pronounce it.
Trying to spell it out there.
But so Augusta Neat was literally just creating something out of nothing. And I love having my hands on that because That's exactly what I wanted to do. We had people that actually drove from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
That night. Hope they didn't drive home.
Yeah.
But, 7 different whiskeys to try. Then there was a mystery whiskey. You got to choose, you figure out what it was. And if you got
based
it.
on the knowledge that like Zach had given throughout the night. Because when you say Zach is a Wikipedia, as an old person, I would have said an encyclopedia of knowledge, because I mean, there isn't much he doesn't know about the grain bill and the gravity of it, and the alcohol content, and where the water source was from, and why
the laws, everything. Yeah. He's got it all. So people could ask any question and he would be able to answer it.
Yeah.
And, we took questions. I mean, it was truly an educational experience. And it was created out of nothing.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those things, again, when you talk about Augusta, what does Augusta have to offer? There are people like you that are here that have passions for things, that don't want to just hold on to them, like clutched pearls to their chest. You want to say, hey, check this out. Let me open up my arms and let me tell you about these things that I'm interested in. And I've got a friend who's here, and we're going to put this thing together.
Right.
You should come check this out.
Agreed.
And
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I mean, there are people like that, all over this city. You just got to open up your eyes. You got to look for them. Right. They're not, but that's the thing, is they're not hidden. You're the one that has to kind of come outside. You've got to open yourself up to see what's out there. That's the same reason that Le Chat Noir exists, because there was a void in the theater world in Augusta, and Chris Bailey and his partners were like, hey, let's start doing this stuff that you're not going to see on any of the other main stages around town. Yeah,
Schrodinger's cats.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Improv group here in Augusta.
Oh, my goodness.
The plays that they put on, opening it up for music acts. We've got the Black Hat Picture Show with, going into our 7th year there, an international film festival right here in Augusta.
Right.
And it's you just have to keep your eyes open. You could probably follow,
right?
Drop the Disc on social media. You can follow All Equal Parts. You could follow. You just have to kind of put that follow that hashtag for Augusta.
I wonder, you're saying all this, and I like it, and I know this might be a little tangent, but all the listeners in Augusta, I wonder if it's a lot to do with the Masters that happens once a year. It's just that's all that happens here. And there's no need to look for anything. We're just going to wait for that 1 week. Whereas if you lived in another city where you don't have a Kentucky Derby, or when you don't have, Talladega, you're looking constantly for something to do. Augusta has it all. Augusta literally is awesome. But I know we're not here to, I'm just giving a spiel on Augusta.
No, but that's great.
We just had a poster show, which was incredible.
Yes, Jason Craig's poster show was so amazing.
So incredible.
30 artists from all across the U.S. He even had entries from across the world.
Right.
And in talking to Jason, you could hear that on one of the previous episodes, he had more people that entered than he thought he was going to, and he actually had to say, sorry, you didn't quite make the cut to be in the poster show this round, but we're going to do it again.
I just got chills. That's awesome.
To be able to do that. It's, again, I talk about the film festival, the films that come in from all over the world, from Australia, from New Zealand, from France, Spain, Japan, Saudi Arabia, all over the world, pouring right into little old Augusta.
Right.
Yeah. There's stuff going on. You just got to open up your eyes.
You're preaching to the choir.
I realize that. What is, to ask you your own question then? I don't know if you've ever been asked your own question. I
have not.
If you are out and someone says something negative about Augusta, what is your response?
We've had over 250 responses, and I don't want to sound mundane, but, where are you from? And actually no one's ever asked that or answered it that way, but where are you from? I mean, if you're from Augusta and you really don't know or think there's anything to do here, what's your source? Are you even looking? I would ask a lot of questions, and then I would immediately become friends with them and show them what's up. Because when Schrodinger's Cats is back, I will go first Friday. Let's go see this. Let's go to Metro afterwards. Let's hear some live music. Maybe, if you're younger, Garden City Social, sure, you'll have fun. There's a cool brewery. I mean, we've got all the little things that are actually big things to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And, we've got parks. We've got the river, the canal. Have you kayaked on the canal? Then we have the Green Jackets, SRP Park. We've got hopefully a hockey team soon. I am working on that right now.
Okay.
We've just got so much. Yeah, we don't have concerts every weekend. We're not a Charlotte. We're not in Atlanta. I get it.
Yeah, you say that, but
right.
We do have concerts every weekend.
And we do.
We have amazing local bands that play amazing top-level music that really should be somewhere else other than here.
Right.
Because they could be making $1 million somewhere other than here.
Exactly.
So it may not be that band that you know of.
Right.
But there's somebody playing some amazing
anywhere.
music.
Literally, we have over 30 bars in the entire CSRA, maybe even more, honestly. And there's always live music there. Always. Music is so in our bones here.
Absolutely.
We all say James Brown, but Sharon Jones. We've got all these other incredible artists that are unnamed.
Yeah, I mean, and it's from all walks of life, and or you talk about Jesse Norman, amazing opera singer.
Yes.
Rest in peace. You've got Sutton Foster, who is an amazing Broadway actress. Still performing.
Right.
There's so much talent that has come from Augusta, and that
Lady A.
Yeah, exactly.
Lady A from Evans, Georgia, which is the CSRA.
Absolutely. It's the A in CSRA. I don't know if that actually is. It's probably not, but Lady A. Stands for area. No, it doesn't. But yeah.
Too soon?
Yeah. But that's the thing is it's here. Where, are you walking around with blinders on? Are you? Do you got your fingers in your ears?
Right.
And we're becoming such a great place for foodies as well.
Oh, yeah.
Places that just have amazing menus, fresh menus that change constantly. I mean, if you go over in Aiken, if you go downtown Augusta, if you go out, in Evans and Grovetown, and there's stuff here.
Yeah, I think the what it all boils down to is Augusta's so great that the people that were hating on Augusta are moving back and raising their families. We were all in high school once, and I guarantee you anybody listening to this did not like their town that they grew up in. They wanted to get out, go to college, go somewhere else and have a good time, create those memories. But those same people are now moving back and have that same mentality. And so that's where Drop the Disc comes in, where they're constantly hearing good news. Augusta historically has done a pretty poor job telling the good story of Augusta. And that's why we use people in Augusta to tell the story of Augusta. And I really do think if people took the blinders off and they moved back to Augusta, take the blinders off, they will see so much opportunity, so many things to do. Get the babysitter on the weekend and go out and have a good time, or Monday through Friday. There's something going on every night. So that's probably my answer for Drop the Disc question.
All right, Chris, this is the part of the show where I like to dive a little bit deeper into you. As an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've had those sleepless nights. I'm sure you've had those days where you're like, what am I doing? Even as a teacher, a husband, there are those days that just feel like they overwhelm you. As someone who suffers from depression, I've worked hard to work through those things, and it's often a constant battle. But what I think helps is having conversations like this, not letting that stigma of depression or mental health be something negative, but something that can be a guiding light to have that conversation so that people realize they're not alone.
Right.
So I ask you, what do you do to stay positive and keep the dark at bay?
So I first want to say thank you for asking this question. This is a question that not many people talk about nor ask. And I think that is the problem because it's not being asked. So this is my answer. I'm a very positive person. I try to be on the outside. Growing up, I did not have a support system. I had a good family, great family, but I wasn't open with them. It wasn't until I had a really good friend that I could just talk to about what's going on and know that the lips are sealed. When I learned that and saw that he was being open with me about things, that was the true friendship. And how do I keep things at bay? Yes, there are nights that I stay up and stress and think about, man, I shouldn't have said that, or I went too far, or I'm just stressed out.
Yeah.
And I have created a very supportive support system.
Mm-hmm.
I've got friends that I talk about marriage issues. I talk to friends who have business issues. I talk to people that deal with certain things, and I have put them in categories. And when I need to talk to someone, I'll call them. Yeah. And just a lot of what is an issue for me is I let it build up. Mm. But the moment I let it out and let someone else hear what I'm going through, even if they just listen, that's when it's at bay. Yeah. Keeping it all in has been something that luckily I don't deal with as much anymore because I have all these category of ventees that I vent to. And one of them is my wife. And she's probably the most critical person that can just give it right back at me. And it's all good. Because I know she knows the best for me. Mm-hmm. But I got those bros out there too that really do give me great advice or criticism, or will tell me straight up, no, you're wrong. Mm. And so that's how I keep things at bay. Just having a good support system. I know that's so cliche. Everybody has heard this their whole life, but just from family, if you grew up in a 2-parent home, I teach kids that are dealing with this now, how, don't know how to deal with their stress. It's because they don't have the parent system, and so I look at that and the support system. And shout out to David Bash, because he's someone I vent to as well, and he's a partner. He's a business partner, and for someone, if you want to start a business, you need to do it with someone that you can trust. Yeah. And that's why the Augusta Podcast Drop the Disc side has been able to stay at bay. It's more of the making the time work, scheduling work with your family life and work life. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important when you're talking about having that support system, because as I've said before, when you can, have that conversation, someone that you can get it off your chest, get what's inside out, that helps to take the power away from that thing. It's kind of like naming it. It's like you put a name on it. You can't be hurt by it because you've named it. You've put it out. You've got it out from the inside. And to be able to trust someone like that, it could take a long while to find someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be able to be completely honest with and to be completely open with. I think that's one of those things where, therapy doesn't have to be laying down on a couch with some sort of counselor or something. It's what we're doing right now. It's a conversation. Right. Just being real raw, real honest, with what's going on.
And I think there's a stigma about guys not being emotional. Mm-hmm. I've learned to wear my emotions on my sleeve in a way. So, if something didn't feel right, I'll make sure to let them know later in a more in a different setting. But on that, when things would happen, like if something didn't work out, I was very quick to let him know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
If I had slept on it, though, I would have known better.
Yeah.
So another thing that helps me keep at bay is just to remember, just sleep on it first, and then see how I feel in the morning. The end of the day is the worst part of the day because you just got done with your job, maybe another job, side hustle. A lot of things happen between 3 and 5, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
A lot of things are said, and 6 p.m. is the wind down time. And if you don't wind down, at least for me, I say some things that I probably shouldn't. Maybe I'm a little rash in how I respond. Sleeping on it has definitely helped deal with some business or even work relationships.
That's great. Just taking a moment to pause, depending on what's affected you, what you've heard, said, reacted to, and to let the power of sleep.
Yes.
Every morning starts anew, so that sometimes gives you new perspective. You wake up with new eyes on whatever the issue is.
Right. Maybe it was literally not a big deal, and there's nothing to talk about.
Right.
Versus making a big deal out of nothing.
Right. Which could, if you're like you said, if you're rash and you jump to conclusions, or you don't seek understanding, I have the hardest time with like text messages. You get a text and you respond back, and then people infer tone in text message that's not really there.
Right.
But they don't want to pick up the phone and call because that's just an antiquated way to talk to people nowadays.
It is. It's the new email.
Yeah. But
for sure.
But to be able to actually say, hey, I want to talk to you about this. You have a moment. I just want to get some clarification before I jump to conclusions or do this other thing.
Right. And I'm not saying all this to sway people from tension. When you are starting a business with someone, which I do recommend to start a business with someone because it's another perspective. It is a true marriage. If you're not married, you'll understand someday, or you won't. It's okay. But my relationship with David is a true marriage. We have to come to an agreement. We can't go to bed angry. There has to be some sort of resolve before we move forward. You can't make a decision by yourself, because when you do that, that's when the darkness comes. And so just a little bit of advice from a little old business guy. You need to have a true relationship with your partner and be able to have those tough discussions.
All right, Chris, this is the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five, Fast Five, Fast Five. All right, I don't have a theme song for the Fast Five yet. I'm still working on it. I've talked to my music guy. We're still working on Fast Five. But this is powered by Poddex. It's a great app for podcasters where it's conversation starters, basically. It's like a deck of cards with questions you can ask. So what I do is I'll hit the randomizer button on this, give you 5 questions in rapid fire succession there. No wrong answers.
All right.
Okay, so no pressure there. There are no wrong answers. It's just kind of whatever the first answer that comes to the top of your head. Poddex, again, if you check that out at the website and use the promo code CHEW, you get 10% off your deck. But let's go ahead and get into this. Would you rather face off to Godzilla or King Kong?
King Kong. Was that fast enough?
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean,
do you want me to tell you why?
I mean, yeah, you feel like you have a better chance against King Kong than Godzilla?
I just think King Kong's real.
Okay. Okay. Did you see the latest Godzilla v King Kong?
I did not.
Okay. I have things about that movie that was, yeah, it was odd. It was odd, but yeah. All right. Here we go. Question number 2. What's the most exotic meat you've ever eaten? You do a lot of foodie stuff?
Not really. I would say Probably mahi.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the most, I mean, that counts, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's exotic sound.
People are like, Chris, you got to get out.
You need to get out. Well, at least you didn't say like a hot dog, because I mean, although a hot dog,
all beef hot dog.
Yeah, a hot dog might have some exotic meats in it. You just never know. Number 3. Morning person or night owl, and why?
I'm both.
Really?
I am. I get up
24/7. You just don't stop.
I get up at 4:50 a.m. to go to the gym, and then on the weekends or even during the week, during the summer break, I can go for hours. I have FOMO, fear of missing out.
Okay.
My wife hates it.
Yeah. What is she?
She is definitely a morning person.
Okay. So by the time she sees you in the afternoon, she's like,
the first thing she does is after work, she puts on her PJs. Okay. And then she's ready for bed. Okay. Love her.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Number 4. Entrepreneurship can be a tough road. In the difficult moments, how do you stay focused on moving forward and making progress?
I always check the goals.
You've got a list.
Yeah, we have goals that we want to meet, and if something gets in the way, then maybe it's not important. So definitely have that set of goals. It could be 2 goals, 1 goal, 3 goals, 5, 10. If it's not aligned with your mission, it's not worth it.
So it's a waste of time then. So
could be a waste of time. It could be an opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe a side hustle on the side, maybe a side relationship, business relationship, but not for the business.
Okay. So keep the list of goals.
Yes.
Keep checking that every morning.
Yep.
Every night. Make
Definitely.
sure you're aligned. Cool. All right. Number 5. As you get older, what do you realize your parents were right about when it comes to the future?
Don't get pets.
Really? Your parents told you don't get pets?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. That's a bad joke. My parents were 100% correct about you need to be able to support yourself.
Okay.
I was the student that didn't get the best grades. I was focused on sports because it was fun. I went to a college locally in Augusta State, now AU, and I literally had to find myself in college. I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but I didn't know what I want to major in. I thought I wanted to be a doctor because of the area. I love science, hated anatomy. And as a PE teacher, I am super excited that I stuck to my goals of being supporting of myself. And, but I was able to do so much more than just that, which with Augusta Podcasts and Drop the Disc. But, my parents were 100% correct about that.
So does it burn you up just a little bit that they were right about that? Because is that something you kind of fought against when they told you that when you were younger?
I was always driven.
Okay.
I think just being the firstborn, I was a little bit of a rebel. I'm a little bit of a black sheep. Okay. And, but they were 100% about pets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was not a bad joke. I will also add that in there. My wife and I won't get pets. No offense to all the pet owners out there, but
none taken.
We travel all the time.
Gotcha.
And we have no kids, so we're always traveling, or we'll be wanting to be out really late and not want to have to worry about a dog. And so all those pet lovers out there have turned me off now, but
no,
I enjoy pets in other people's homes.
Right. So it's not that you're anti-cat, dog.
No, actually,
whatever.
Actually, I used to be a dog lover only, and now I love cats too.
Okay.
I do.
It's just not your own.
No.
Kind of that grandparent syndrome. It's like, oh, I want to play with the children, then give them back to their parents. Okay.
Exactly.
Very good. That's awesome, Chris. That's it. That's the Fast Five, and that is the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you coming in and agreeing to be here with me. I really do appreciate what you do with Drop the Disc and all the stuff that you have your hands in, that you are making this town so much better than it was, or better yet, let me say, you're uncovering the better that was already there.
Yes.
You're uncovering the better that was already there. Folks want to follow you on social media. Where can we find you?
Let's go ahead. You can follow me on social media, C Nabholz, which is my Instagram. I don't really get on Facebook anymore. It's all Instagram. You can see me teaching students during the day and being a podcaster at night. You can also follow me at @drop_the_disc_podcast on Instagram and at Augusta Podcasts on Instagram. Obviously, we do have Facebooks with that because they own each other.
Right.
But definitely do that.
Excellent. And I'll make sure to put all the links in the show notes for most of the stuff that we have talked about here today. Again, Chris, I can't thank you enough for coming in and spending a little time with me today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the beer.
Absolutely.
Love it.
I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed this and would like to support this podcast, I encourage you to please buy me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. And I look forward to the next time when we can sit a spell and chew the fat.